Hello, Larry here with PriceIt Software. Today I want to show you the new version of PriceIt Software X 9.6. There's been a lot of improvements over the years, and the ones that we're looking at today are some of the most exciting ones I've seen in a long time. So I'm going to give you an overview of the whole software, and we'll go through it step by step together. So this is PriceIt Software. This is the order entry screen. This is a area where you put in your order and all those other types of information. The buttons along the top here are ones you're going to be using most often in the software. We'll go over those as well. This is your status indicator. This shows you at a glance the status of a job and things that need your attention and what still needs to be done. With that, we have jobs in progress. And that's sort of like the overhead view of the status indicator. And this shows you all the jobs that are in the system that are currently not done and what needs to be done still on them. All right, and then we have some other features over here we'll get to as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and put in an order and we'll go from there. So up in the upper left-hand corner, we have new order. I'm going to click on that button right there. We have a type of order to drop down. This is customizable. Today, we're going to choose screen print. We're going to do an estimate. We're going to do it in-house, and we're going to go ahead and create that estimate. So the first thing we want to do is, who are we doing this for? So we come down here and we select in the customer name field, and we choose an existing customer today for expediency. You can add a customer to this very easily if they're not already in your system. And if you have a database of customers, we can easily import them for you as well to make this whole thing a lot easier. You don't have to start from scratch. So we have who we're doing it for, what are we doing it on. We're going to do some, we're going to grab some next level shirts here from, I think it's Alpha Broder. And by the way, we have products from the three major vendors, Alpha, Broder, Sanmar, SNS, and actually from Augusta as well. And they are updated frequently. So to make sure that we have the latest pricing in place for you. One of the things I want to do, and this, I'm sure a lot of you are going to love this, is I want to check stock on this first, so make sure we actually have this before I go through all the work of putting the order in. So I can click here and I can say check stock. And what it does is it reaches out to their warehouse and says, what is your total inventory across all warehouses? Things look good here. So we're going to go ahead with this order. The next thing we want to do is put the quantities in. So I'm just going to do something small today. I'm going to do like a 12-piece job. And now we're going to come down here and we're going to click on pricing. And we're going to say this is, let's just say it's a one color front. And we're going to calculate this order. And we could tell that customer that it's $13.58 for each one. And total is going to be here with tax. And of course, we have an administration fee. That's a way for you to collect on things like credit card fees and things like that. It's a feature that's being used across the board with all of our customers, and there has been no pushback. So that's a good way to, grab a little money that's been slipping through the cracks. Those credit card fees can really add up. So if that's something you want to do, you can. You can also shut it off for customer and say, well, I'm not going to charge them for this. And it will actually take it out and then click no, recalculate. And so the next thing we want to do is we want to come in here and put in our deadline. So we're going to put in here the 17th, a couple of weeks out. Of course, you can choose whatever you guys want to do. And let's schedule it for the 13th. And what we'll do is we'll go in here. The way this works is we'll come in here, click on scheduled, and you want to choose the piece of equipment you're going to use to print it. So if it's an auto, it goes by imprints per hour. If it's a manual, it goes by colors per hour. So in this case, we're going to choose the Anatol. And what it does is you put in during setup, you can set up as many pieces of equipment as you have, how much time it takes to set up and tear down and all that stuff. And how many imprints per hour it can do if you're doing darks, whatever it is. So I'm going to choose, we're doing this on darks and has all the information here. I'm going to click on use. And what it does, it auto calculates it to about a half hour. When this becomes a job, an actual job, then it will drop this onto the calendar. So let's do that. Let's make it into a job. There's a couple ways we can do that. A customer can call and say, yeah, it's good to go. They can send you an email. But the best way to do this is to send out the estimate as it sits. We're going to click on view estimate. And we can click on email or text, and we're going to email or text this out. You can also do texting. It's $1 a month through a company called Twilio, and it is $1 a month, like I said, and 0.0075 cents per message sent. All right, so we can send it by text or email. Texting is great because folks aren't always glued to their computers, and they can get a response to you much quicker from their cell phone than from an email. But at this point, I'm going to show you how the email function works as well. So I'm going to click on email, and this asks, do we want to send this to billing or regular? Well, we don't need any money from them yet, unless there's a deposit to be made, but let's send it out regular. And we're going to set this up to request for approval. And what happens is, when this email gets sent, or a text, doesn't really matter, it sends this link that the customer can then get. Once they get that text or email, they click on that link, they're going to get something that looks just like this. And this is where they can approve or not approve it. So if I click on, I approve this estimate, deposits required on this job, we're going to say, okay. It's saying it needs $87.06. So what we do is we put in our card number, and I'm going to delete this later so you guys can't see it. You put the expiration date in. CCV, your zip code, and the amount. I think I'm just going to put $1 on it. I don't want to mess everything up. I'm going to put my email address in there as well. I'm going to submit that payment. Payment was approved. Would you like to print the invoice? I can say yes or no. I'm not going to today. Payment was approved. You'll be directed to our website. So after they make a payment, it's going to spit them back out at your website, and that's put in the settings section. And then it just puts you right back to your website to keep the branding on point. There you go. All right. So we've sent this out. We've got an approval. We got a payment on it. I'm going to show you the texting feature later on, what that looks like. But right now I'm going to click on back. And now what used to say estimate now says job. And if I scroll down here, we can see that payment's been made and applied. It's also going to show up over here. You're going to get an email as well. And it also says payments received online, not viewed. And then there's one here that's entered in by customer for review. That's something we'll talk about at another time. But this one right here is the one, payments received online, not viewed. That's that payment we just made. So now we're good to go. All right. So now we have this job. We have some things we need to do to move it forward through the system. First thing we like to do is assign some tasks to make sure that things are getting done. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go into the task feature, and I'm going to start putting in employees and assigning them things. So maybe Jamie's going to work on screens. We say make screens, and then any notes associated. I'm just going to put notes. And again, we can just do screens. And when we need it done by, so obviously we know we're going to do it then. I think we've scheduled for, and by the way, it's been dropped on the production schedule now that it's an actual job. So that's really cool. Maybe a couple of days before is when we want to really get to work on this. So let's choose a date here. And you keep assigning tasks to different things, to different parts of the machine. And that way what they can do is, like, Jamie can log in, go to task and say, well, what do they need me to do? And Jamie can come in here and click here and filter. And this is all the stuff that's just been assigned to Jamie. And as he's doing it, as he's going along and he's finishing things, he can come over here to screens and say, yes, it's done. And then, like, as an artist gets the work done, they can mark the art as done, but we'll get to that in a minute or two. One of the other things that need to happen, obviously, are garments to be ordered. So we have a garment purchasing system. And what that does is it reaches out to all the open orders that are in the system and the garments that are needed. And it creates a report that you can then use to order from your vendor. So in this place, I'm going to click on ordered. I'm going to come in here and look at this. I'm going to click on create report. And again, it's creating an aggregate report. And so we have Alpha, Sanmar, and if we had others, they would be here as well. Orders for those vendors. So in this case, I'm going to click on the ID number here. What that does is it copies to my clipboard. Then I would go to Alpha's website, paste it in there, look for the item, drop it in my cart. Once I've dropped it in my cart, I can check it off as being ordered. And this will remove it from any future reports, shows that it's been ordered. If you're using Sanmar, you're in luck because all you have to do is click this button right here, send to Sanmar. What it does is it logs into Sanmar's website. It finds the ID number, the product, the colors, all that stuff, and then it drops it in the cart. If there's a problem, it'll spit back a message to you saying inventory issues or whatever, and then you can at that point choose to order from a different warehouse or maybe a replacement product. But again, so it drops it into the cart, and then you just finish your transaction from there. Very smooth and very easy to use. I'm going to check that off as well. It's been ordered, yes. And if I continue on, I can then print this report if I wanted to. And this could be waiting by or given to whoever counts this stuff in so they know what to expect and who it's for and move forward from there. We'll say no here. All right. So we're going to say copy to ordered. Actually, on this one, the last order we were working on was this one. And we could say it's already been, we can see here when I selected that it was completed, it automatically put those items as being ordered. Of course, when they're received, the receiver would come in here, click on to received. Sometimes they're short. And what can happen is that can mark that as short. And we go back to the order entry screen. And we can see here the status indicator says the items were ordered and they did come in, but there's an issue. And what that does is it's designed to draw your attention to it so you can manage it however you normally would, whether it's replacing with a different item or calling the customer and they say, well, I'll wait for the order. Just go ahead and order that other shirt. Whatever it is, it gives you, at least gives you eyes to look at it and know what the heck's going on. So meanwhile, things are being done, screens are being done. We're going to say yes. And also at this point, we need to start getting the artwork approved and sent out and all that stuff. So let's go back to that job we were working on and I will mark this as checked in. Copied received. We're going to go back and let's get this order done. So let's go in here. We're going to click on screen print artwork and we're going to say get art. And we can choose from an existing database of art that's in here. Of course, you can add your own very quickly and easily. But for today's demo, we're going to choose this one right here. I know it's not one color, but it gives you an idea of the functionality of how it works. So we even have our mesh counts and ink colors from the last time we did this job, along with the artwork number. I'm going to click select. That's going to bring us back here where I can then put in the image size. We usually go by width only. So we'll say it's 10 inches wide or whatever. And now we need to get a proof to get this approved. So we're going to click on the proof needed button here. And this is where you get this ready to send out. Now we can email or text this out. I want to show you the texting thing real quick. We'll click on send text. And then we're going to click on canned. And this gives us the different types of messages that are already in the system. So this one could be like, please click the link to approve the artwork from Perfect Image Screen Printing. We're going to say use. And then I could click send. Actually, I need to click a link first. Add the link. So there it is. And then I can click on send and it's going to the phone number. And then that customer can then respond to this by clicking on it with their cell phone and then approving the artwork or not approving it. Same thing, the email is very much the same as it was before we were looking at it, only instead of adding a payment link, the artwork approval link is already here. I want to show you what your customer sees. So if I click on preview, this is what your customer is going to see when they get the email or the text. They're going to click on a link and they're going to see this. And it looks, like this, and they can do whatever they need to do and they can approve it or not approve it. So if they approve it, it asks for initials. If they don't approve it, it's going to ask for initials, but then it's going to ask you something else. So here it says, please indicate all changes you would like to make. I would say, please move image down some. Submit changes. All right. So what's going to happen now is you're going to get an email And also back in PriceIt, it's automatically been switched to needs work. Now, when your artist goes to log in, they can come in and log in and also get an email, but they can also log in and they're going to click on this link right here. And this shows you customers that have interacted with their artwork. So in this case, this is the one from today. They would go, well, what do you mean it's not approved? What needs to be done? So, right, way we used to do this, we used to have to look through different email boxes and ask around the shop and, who got that response. And, so this just takes all the communication with this job and puts it in one easy, secure place that's not going to get misplaced. It's not going to get lost. It's not stuck in someone's email box. The artist can simply come in here, go to the order, click on this red button here, needs work. Well, what do you mean it needs work? They may say. Let's look at that history. Please move image down some. Now they know what they need to do. They don't have to go looking through emails and things like that could get lost. So then they begin the process of re-uploading it and getting it approved, which is pretty straightforward as well. So moving on, we could also say the artwork is finally done when it does get done. And of course, things are turning green all across the board. Ultimately, we want to see this turn green as well. So at this point, I'm going to just change the status manually to approved. We're going to assume everything went okay. Everything's done. The artist did their job and got the approval they needed. So that's what that looks like. This thing's ready to rock. Now, there's a couple other things in here, like the screen print name and number and the embroidery name and number. You might get a list from a coach or an employer or something, and they want to put names and numbers on the garments that you're printing. You'd simply fill this information out, and that would be available for the screen printer or embroiderer to know what names and numbers are going on there. They also will appear on that work order. With that being said, let's take a look at that work order real quick. So I come over here and I click on screen print work order. This is the screen that your screen printers will look at when they log in. There's also a timer that can be set to turn on or off. This is to kind of get an idea of how long jobs are taking to see if you actually made any money. And that's kind of why we do this, right? So we want to know if we're making money. You don't have to use it. It's there if you want to, but it's there as well. So the printer would log in, they'd see this, they would be able to see jobs, other jobs that are in progress, any line notes that are associated with this job, documents, things like that. All the stuff they need to print this job and to make it work. So there's also a screen that can be used on a tablet, or if you have an Anatol machine with a screen on it, a touch screen, where they could log in from that. And this is all they would see, and they would just be able to keep working on what they're working, and then move over to the next item, and then the next item by just scrolling left and right. So going back to the order entry screen, I also want to show you the embroidery art section. It's very similar to the one that's in artwork. The only difference is this has a colorway which we can build. So if you choose your thread manufacturer, in this case, we only have Madeira in here, but we can different ones, Isocor and different ones. So just let us know your thread manufacturer. We'll do our best to put it in there. We probably already have that database. So just let us know which ones you're using. We'll make sure those are available to you. So then you put in this thread number, or maybe you know what the colors are. You just choose them. And it builds that threadway that will eventually and will make its way to the work order, as well as the proof that's going out to the customers. They know what thread's being used and the colors and such. Lists. This is awesome. This keeps your administration team happy, making sure things aren't falling through the cracks, what jobs are not done, invoices that have not been paid, what's not been sent to QuickBooks, and what payments have not been sent to QuickBooks. This just prevents things from falling through the cracks, making sure everything's getting done and moving forward. We have a shipping module that uses both UPS and Shippo. Shippo is kind of like ShipStation. Basically, the way it works is you get an account with them, and then you have access to DHL, the post office, USPS, and FedEx, and a bunch of others. You basically just put your package information in here, click on Get Rates, and it lists all the carriers and all the rates. You choose the one you want, generate shipping label, ship it out, you're good to go. We also have a history tab here, and this history is great for a lot of things, for looking up the history of your proofing, UPS, Shippo, any payments, orders, jobs. It's basically a very powerful search engine that lets you drill really deep and get all the answers and numbers that you possibly could use. Now, with that being said, we also have some proper reporting in here, like with aging and job info, misprint reports, payments, sales graph, products sold, UPS shipments, commission reports, paid reports, customer reports, costing, tasks, sales, and tax reports. All the stuff that you need to get that information to keep your business running forward and smoothly and profitable. The next thing we have on here is the Send to QuickBooks. And Send to QuickBooks is pretty straightforward. It's what it does. It works with QuickBooks Online or with QuickBooks Desktop. Now, if you've sent something to QuickBooks already, this button will change and it will say Show in QuickBooks. And so in order to find it, all you have to do is click on this button and it will open this job up in QuickBooks so that you don't have to click in there and search around and go looking for it. The next thing we have is costing. Costing is fantastic. We have the breakdown here of what gets sent over to QuickBooks. These are the individual line items that get sent. Also, before I move on, this timer has been timing me and the amount of time that I've spent in this job working on it. So this also times whoever's putting the job in as well. And this comes in handy for these run times. So the run times get built up by different employees. You can then take those run times and you can go back to costing and calculate and find out how much money you're actually making. Now, what makes this work or what drives it is what's called an overhead estimator. I come over here and come down to overhead estimator. This is basically asking you what your monthly expenses are. We like to use the yearly one. It's a lot more simpler. You just put in your yearly expenses off your P&L report, how many employees you have, calculate that thing. And then when you come back here and we go to costing and you start putting in your variables, like how much time you took with the customer, 30 minutes with the customer, artwork took 30 minutes, basically you can get these numbers or just estimate it however you want to do it. Another 20 minutes making screens, equipment teardown. So, et cetera, et cetera. So right now we're at 62.76. So the true net of $102. If I calculate this job, we're making $2.86. Probably time to up our rates or figure out a better way to make this profitable. So this gives you those tools that you need to make those decisions on what needs to happen. A lot of times we're firing things into the dark. We don't know. We're moving ahead. We're tired. We're just moving one job after another. This allows you to stop, pause, and see, am I making any stinking money here? And then gives you the power that you need to then make decisions to make your business more profitable. All right. So we talked about run times. We also have a little place here to put misprints. So you can run a misprint report if you want as well, and you could put all your misprints here. We talked about our status indicator already. Let's take a look at some other things like the scheduler. If I click in here, this is our scheduler. And basically, it's just like any other scheduler or calendar you've ever used. But the really cool part I love about this one is, besides the adding things automatically, you can also come in here and add things as you see fit. You can choose the equipment, you can choose the color, you can color code certain types of jobs. Some people color code the status of a job. So it really depends on how you want to use that color code. Most folks are using red for screen printing and blue for embroidery, but certainly you can do however you want. We have a week, month, and a day, and a week, month, and a monthly view and a day view. A lot of folks are taking this daily view and they're putting it up on their on a big screen or a monitor in their shop so that the employees can look at it and see what's on the schedule and the agenda and what needs to happen. It keeps everybody focused and moving forward in the same direction. You can change the amount of time it takes too, and you can move it around the schedule just like you can with any other calendar. All right, so we looked at the scheduler. Notes, notes, people don't really think that's a big deal, but what I love about this thing is that you can put in your notes for the entire order to go to every segment of the order. So folks, for order entry, notes for garment purchasing, the work order, invoice, embroidery work order, et cetera, global notes. And when you put all your notes in, instead of looking around everywhere and putting your notes in individual sections, you put them all here. Like I said, you click on send notes and it puts all the notes where they belong. We talked about tasks earlier, but I'm going to move it over to this other one called docs. And this is where you can store documents that are associated with this order. So in this case, maybe sometimes we get that occasional, we get them quite often actually. Someone sends you a piece of artwork and they'll say, hey, can you print this? And you'll say, yeah, I can. And you know you're not going to use that artwork, but it's something that's referenced. So you want to put your reference artwork somewhere. You can upload that here so that the artist can find it easily when they go to work on this. And you can also put in the notes what it is. You can put any type of document here as well, PDFs, things like that. You can also put your DST files. Maybe you have some vector images you've already done and you want to upload them and attach them to this as well. You can do that. And then the neat thing about that is in the future, if you come back and you go to do a reorder, the system will ask you, do you want to take those documents with you? And if it's the same job, you say yes. If not, then you say no. So that keeps those documents associated with this particular order. We have texting here, and it's like a texting. We can just do general texts from here. But these will light up green and green as well. If anybody has used the email or texting feature, these will light up. So that'll let you know that something was actually sent out through PriceIt. All right. So we've looked at all these buttons along the top. There's some other things in here I'd like to show you as well. If I come down here to shortcuts, these are the different other segments of the program that are available to you. We have contract work orders, garment purchasing we talked about. We've checked stock. You can do tracking, scheduling. You can print packing slips. We have a customer center. This customer center is fantastic because what you do is you can come in here and go to their defaults, and you can set their terms, if they have a credit limit or not, what pricing grid you want to assign to this customer. You may have some that are like, nonprofits, or some that you've been doing business with a long time. Maybe you don't want to ever accept a deposit from them. So you say, nope. And you may have a different pricing grid that's cheaper, and you may want to put that in there as well. Assign a sales rep. And then there's a place where their artwork is stored. And that is, you can map this out to, if I click here, that'll map it out. So there's nothing there. I'll show you how to add that. It'll map it out to the folder where their artwork is stored on the network drive. And if you have online storage, like through a Dropbox or Google, you can put that link in here as well. And that will also give everybody, when they go to this job and then they're looking at this customer, they know where they can get their artwork. And if you're using some sort of Salesforce CRM, you can drop that link in here to give a seamless link back to your CRM. All right. There's a few other things in here, but we'll get over that another day. So we'll go back to order entry. And so we've talked about a lot of things here. One of the things I wanted to show you was what an artist does with, like we showed you this earlier, where they can look at where a customer is interacting with their artwork, or they can come over here, click on this art proofs, and it shows you different art proofs that are needed. They can click on needed and get a list of, kind of like a to-do list for themselves and what needs to happen. All right. So we also have some other really cool things in here. If I go over here to shortcuts, I can click on any of these Shopify, Inksoft, or Order My Gear. So we have three different store suppliers or store companies for selling gear online. So Order My Gear, Inksoft, and Shopify. And the way that works is, I'm just going to kind of open this one up. And they're all basically the same, but basically you would choose what store or status. You could say DC Nationals, whatever, what store, not pushed, and you can download all those stores. And when you get them in this list, you can then click the push button, and that pushes them all over to PriceIt, where now you could take your online store orders, and instead of hand keying them in, they're automatically put into PriceIt so that you can then continue doing production and getting into the right hands. There's also a feature down here called Rush It. This puts a rush symbol on there, and also a price check. So if someone, not a price check, press check, where they can come in here and once someone sees this, they'll know to call somebody, take a look at it. They'll also know to charge more for it because it's a rush job. That is pretty much it. That's PriceIt Software in a nutshell. There's a whole lot more to it. A lot more that I could show you in a given time, but I pretty much touched on all the things that you're pretty much going to use on a regular basis. So if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call at 802-257-5188. Our website is PriceItSoftware.com. You can reach out to us by email as well. That address is info@PriceItSoftware.com. My name is Larry, and we look forward to serving you.